5 truly strange things that actually happened. Sometimes humans can be downright weird. As you're about to see, these people don't hold anything back. From ghosts in car windows to people that love sharing their hidden kinks with the world. Number 5. A man wearing a full-body rubber suit terrorizes villagers in Somerset, England. The biggest concern facing residents of sleepy Somerset village of Claverham was the odd missed bin collection. But that was before a man in a full black rubbery gimp suit began terrorizing the local community, charging at lone individuals late at night while grunting and breathing heavily. The mystery offender has targeted at least 14 local men and women while dressed in a range of disguises, sending a ripple of fear through the community. A woman in her 20s managed to take a picture of the rubber-clad offender before fending him off. She was left traumatized and terrified to go out in case he was waiting on her for a part 2. She said, "I was walking along with my flashlight and looked up to see someone charging at me in a full black rubbery suit. I don't know about you, but that sounds very terrifying." Number 4. Imagine driving on the roads at night and suddenly coming face to face with a couple of ghosts. However, you later discover that you didn't have a close encounter with some specters. It was just ghost stickers on the back of a windscreen of a car. Some of these stickers are eerie female ghosts, werewolves, and bloody handprints. This trend is most popular in China, where many Chinese drivers are sticking reflective ghost transfers on the rear windows of their cars to deter motorists from using high-beam headlights. Number 3. In a story that will anger any animal lover, a dog hunter poisoned 6 domestic dogs in a village near Gachina. This is a photo captured by the alleged perpetrator as he strutted away from one of his latest crimes. Caught on a home surveillance camera as he walks leisurely along one of the streets in the village in the middle of the night. It is thought that he would stroll through the neighborhoods at night looking for unsuspecting family pets to be his next victims. Number 2. Mystery as flaming objects spotted spiraling through the sky over the UK for 20 minutes. Jerry Underwood spotted the mysterious flaming object at approximately 8 p.m. He said it looked like a very thick chemtrail to start with. It looked like a short, skinny cloud. It wasn't moving quickly at all. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a meteorite because they are gone in seconds. We've seen hundreds of shooting stars, but this definitely wasn't that either. This was coming down very slowly and spiraling. It looked like a short, skinny cloud. The mysterious mark apparently left an enormous trail behind as it descended into the distance. He watched the mysterious object slowly falling for between 10 and 20 minutes. Number 1. In our last and honestly most bizarre story so far, a man opened up about his wild Valentine's Day threesome with 2 ghosts. Gary DeNoia from New Jersey has been in a relationship with a ghost for over 2 years. He detailed how he met Lisa, the ghost, in a restaurant when he was dining alone 2 years ago. Gary, 35, who works in the hotel industry, described the couple's bedroom life as amazing. The couple have recently befriended a female spirit and thought it would be fun to bring her over and spice things up with their first threesome. You can't make this stuff up. Number 1. Emily Sparks, 83, who tried to get an exorcism, said the spirit called Joyce also pulled her hair as she slept until she started wearing a hat to bed. A pensioner is haunted by a ghost who keeps flushing the toilet. She spent almost 100 British pounds on 2 nights in her travel lodge just to get some relief. But Joyce even followed her there. Emily said, "She's attracted to my energy. She's leeching off me, but she couldn't work the toilet there." Emily moved into the flat in Riddle, Essex in 2011. She later found out a woman died there 2 years before she moved in. She also learned that a previous occupant had fled. Emily, who claims to be psychic, said Joyce is about 5 feet 3 inches and wears a mustard-colored cardigan and tweed skirt. She started switching off her TV and lights, then begun flushing the toilet for hours on end. Emily went on, "A priest came and blessed me in my home, but it didn't work. I've tried to get an exorcism. I'm not afraid, though. If anyone's going to deal with this, I am." Number 2. The ghost of Pablo Escobar was reportedly caught on camera pacing the halls of his 8-story luxury mansion moments before it was demolished. The palatial home was brought down on February 22nd during an official government ceremony in the northern Colombian city of Medellin. The notorious drug lord and his family lived at the plush pad during the 1980s. Escobar died in a shootout with police on December 2nd, 1993. In the clip, which was shared on social media, a white silhouette could be seen pacing between a window and a large entrance before floating upwards and disappearing just as the building collapses. Web users immediately claimed that the figure was a ghost, with many believing that the spirit was Escobar himself. Others claimed it was a demolition worker in the wrong place at the wrong time. Number 3. Some few years ago, a white man robbed several Ohio banks wearing a hyperrealistic mask of a black man he ordered from Hollywood mask-making company SPFX Masks. He also ordered a matching set of black hands which he used to rob the banks. An innocent black man was arrested for the crimes and was identified falsely in a lineup by 6 of 7 eyewitnesses, including his mother, after watching the surveillance footage of the crime. He was jailed until after some months when the actual bank robber's girlfriend called the police after finding the mask and a huge sum of money. There are other instances of crimes committed using hyperrealistic masks which falsely position innocent black people at crime scenes where they have never been. Number 4. Skeletons reveal morbid history of real-life vampires whose hearts were burned and teeth ripped out. With their teeth ripped out and stakes driven through their chests, these brutalized skeletons reveal the gruesome extent of the vampire hysteria that gripped communities as recently as the 1970s. Remains exhumed from the northeastern United States and across Europe show how mass panic at the spread of disease could lead to the most blood-curdling acts of degradation against the dead. During the days of pestilence and plague that predate modern medical knowledge, the vampire played a much different, but arguably more sinister, part in the fearful public consciousness across continental Europe and the US. Because these vampires didn't even need to get their hands on you to do their deadly bidding, they were able to spread disease and suck the life from their communities from beyond the grave. Number 5. I'm being haunted by a demon child. New York man shares a spooky photo of a ghostly little boy who he claims visits him in the middle of the night. A flat owner claiming to be haunted by a ghost he calls Dear David has shared an image of what he says is a demonic child staring at him in his bedroom. Adam Ellis of New York says he's haunted by the ghost of a dead child who is trying to kill him. The demon child apparently began appearing to him in his dreams, with a misshapen, shrunken head coming to him whenever he fell asleep. After sharing footage of the supposed hauntings online in August, Adam quickly went viral. Still alive 3 months later, he has shared his spookiest snap yet of the specter sitting in his bedroom staring at him. Last night, I dreamed about him again. It was almost exactly the same as the first time as I saw him. The demon child is said to have slithered over to him from his chair while Adam was paralyzed on the bed, unable to move. So, trying to prove the evil being was real, he began taking pictures on his phone of the demon. I thought, if David was going to kill me, maybe I can at least get evidence on my phone. I started snapping pictures in the dark, he said. The demon is then said to have crawled down off the chair and started shuffling towards him menacingly. Eventually, it was face to face with him, muttering in his ear before writhing away. When Adam woke up, he let out a sigh of relief, until checking his phone and realizing the pictures were real. Chilling snaps appear to show a childlike figure sitting in a chair staring back at the camera, just as Adam described in his dreams. Ventriloquist used a child's body as a doll? In the 1920s, ventriloquism became a very important show in the United States, and in that period, an artist emerged who became very famous in a short time. His name was McCarthy, whose doll, Edgar, would represent a boy about 9 or 10 years old. The doll's hands were very real, he had a very expressive mouth, and he was very different from an ordinary ventriloquist doll. In addition, his eyes reflected a strange and even frightening emptiness. McCarthy never let anyone close to Edgar. Many believe that the doll spoke without moving his lips because of witchcraft, and his fame was attributed to a possible demonic influence. The situation reached such a point that many parents forbade their children to attend their shows. One night during a tour of New York, a person knocked on McCarthy's bedroom door, but no one answered. Then, the police were called to check the location. Upon entering, the police found the ventriloquist killed by several stab wounds, with a broken neck and eyes ripped out. To top it off, there was a closed chest beside it. Inside the trunk, the police found Edgar. Upon examining the doll, they realized it was not a doll, but a real boy. He had a horrible latex mask covering his small, pale face.
The ghost of famed Colombian drug lord Pablo Escobar might have recently made another live appearance on TV, this time on Telemundo, during an interview with the drug trafficker's nephew, Nicolas Escobar. He points out that he mounted 3 different cameras at different points, in all of them the silhouette of what could be the famous Colombian capo is visible. A reflection that drew much attention during the entire hour-long interview that Nicolas gave to the journalist.
Monté 3 cámaras diferentes, con 3 proyecciones diferentes, y desde los 3 puntos, desde las 3 proyecciones, se aprecia la imagen que ustedes ven.
Durante la transmisión de 1 hora, la silueta de un hombre con rasgos similares a los del narcotraficante se reflejó en una de las cortinas.
Puse un recuadro para poder mirar si había en algún momento algún tipo de movimiento sutil, si el viento movía algo, pero no encuentro absolutamente nada.
Many seeing the footage say that the shadow in the background has a shockingly unsettling resemblance to the late Kingpin, but Nicolas himself says that he does not believe in ghosts but tells the public to decide for themselves.
El fantasma de Pablo Escobar regresó del más allá.
Yo no creo en fantasmas, pero que los hay, los hay. Juzguen ustedes mismos.
The ghost of Pablo Escobar was reportedly caught on camera pacing the halls of his 8-story luxury mansion moments before it was demolished. The palatial home was brought down on February 22nd during an official government ceremony in the northern Colombian city of Medellin. The notorious drug lord and his family lived at the plush pad during the 1980s. Escobar died in a shootout with police on December 2nd, 1993. In the clip, which was shared on social media, a white silhouette could be seen pacing between a window and a large entrance before floating upwards and disappearing just as the building collapses. Web users immediately claimed that the figure was a ghost, with many believing that the spirit was Escobar himself. Others claimed it was a demolition worker in the wrong place at the wrong time. Have you ever experienced a glitch on YouTube? Something that was so strange you couldn't believe what you were seeing? Back in 2018, a post was made on r/unexplained photos, subreddit titled, "I uploaded a video to YouTube, only using video game footage, no IRL footage at all, and this was the thumbnail it gave me." To put it all into context, when you upload a video to the platform, YouTube will automatically place a thumbnail after taking a random scene or frame from the recording you uploaded. For channels who are allowed to place a custom thumbnail, then their own pre-selected image can be used. The strange thing with this user was that this scene that YouTube posted by default does not appear at any time in the video. As proof, we see the 3 other images that were randomly generated from the posted video itself, and all 3 are different from the preview image. Woman convinced ghostly figure filmed at a local pub as spirit of her late father. Katie Taylor, 33, was stunned to see his likeness captured during a ghost hunter's live Facebook stream. He thinks taxi driver Roger is communicating by showing up at his old haunt, the Black Dog, in Grantham Links. Special needs teacher Katie from Sheffield said, "My parents lived in Grantham before they had me. My mom said they used to go to the Black Dog quite a bit. That picture is clearly a man's face, and the resemblance to my dad is uncanny. Everybody that I've shown it to has said, wow, that's definitely your dad." Roger passed away in March 2016 from pneumonia, age 60, after battling lung cancer. The investigation at the Black Dog was carried out by Redford ghost hunters. Katie added, "I was just scrolling through Facebook and saw some images captured on a ghost hunter's webcam. I stopped and immediately thought, huh? When I properly looked at it, I saw that it was my dad's figure." Landlord Chris Knowles said, "I lived here with my family for 4 years and there were all sorts of strange things going on. We sometimes felt that someone was in a room when we were on our own." You know the old saying, seeing is believing? Well, in the world of the strange and paranormal content online, that couldn't be the furthest from the truth. Let me explain. A couple of months ago, we featured a video of an insanely haunted apartment. The homeowner's pet was reacting to the unseen poltergeist. Doors in the hallway were slamming shut by themselves, things that were being tossed all over the room. The person recording searches the rooms but finds no one there. Such happenings are common for most paranormal videos posted to YouTube. A quick search for the words scary videos, haunted house, extreme paranormal activity, or any combination of similar words would yield thousands of results, with videos of alleged poltergeist activity that would put Hollywood to shame. A stroll through the comments section would show hundreds of eager-to-believe viewers scrubbing through every second of the video and proclaiming it to be proof of anomalous happenings. But it's all BS. Most cases of poltergeist activity, as we've described above, are made with a specific purpose. That is, to get views and create a narrative. The fact is, the average viewer with a casual interest in this type of content isn't going to sit through a 10 to 15 minute long video where very little happens. Something that any true paranormal investigator will tell you. Ghost hunting rarely is the glamorous spectacle that most people hold in their minds. It's many hours of waiting, observing, and waiting some more, but again, as I said before, that doesn't make for an exciting viewing experience. That brings us back to the video in question. After reaching out to the poster of the original video, YouTube channel Rick ESO, we got a clearer picture of the circumstances behind the video. This is an explanation in his own words.
Part of one of my videos, you see my cat doing some strange stuff here. It's because he's playing with the wire. This, not the wire, but this thread right here. You see it? He was playing with that, and it made it look like he was playing with a spirit, but he's actually playing with the thread, and you can't see it. Now the thread is passing behind the TV right here, and it's over there, and you see the knife on the desk over there. Now once I feel that the thread is tight enough to do the pull, I look towards over there, then I pull. Then I run out the room, but it's actually all about a string pull right there. You see, it's pretty easy. One here. Who's here? What the fuck, bro? In the scene where I close all three doors, I have 3 fishing lines in my hands, and they're all tied behind the door. You see? They're all tied behind the door, and then I pull them one after the other, and you see, I close the door like this. This one will close, yeah, like this. It's pretty simple. The reason why I closed the light and left the light open and turned on, the reason why I left the light turned on in the bathroom is so you can see a little bit of light, and that there was no strings, but it wasn't enough light to show that there was an actual string behind the door.
Sightings of shadow people are reported worldwide since the beginning of recorded human history. Shadow people appear to be living shadows, considered by most to possibly be paranormal. They are usually seen out of the corner of people's eyes, with some people claiming to see them as semi-transparent dark splotches. Many saying they vanish as soon as you realize what you just saw. People that see shadow people claim that they get a feeling of despair and fear overcomes them. There have even been some reports of being attacked or chased by these shadows. One commonly seen shadow person is known as the Hat Man, who has been reported worldwide with very few variations in overall appearance and behavior. In April of 2020, a Reddit user going by the name Baked Potato uploaded an oddly creepy video in a post to the website. They added the caption, "This video was taken off of my friend's old phone when she visited the Lemp Mansion in Louis years ago. In the video, around 50 seconds, you can actually see a figure materialize out of nowhere. She didn't see it at the time."
Why? Because I felt bad to give you a cashed out ball.
What did you just say?
I felt bad since I gave you that cashed out ball.
Damn right you feel bad.
Okay, I don't feel bad anymore.
No, you know what? You better start feeling bad.
No?
I'm gonna
It's
stick a
gone.
weed nut in your
A weed nug?
Yeah, you're gonna weed nut.
Well, that's just nasty.
Jared, first of all,
Or
what you say
not a
to
weed
all
nut.
Well, that's just nasty.
Jared, first of all,
Or
what you say
not a
to
weed
all
nut.
people.
We see what looks like the dark outline of a man wearing some kind of a hat. As the camera pans by, the person instantly disappears. The Hat Man is a solid black man with a wide-rimmed hat and sometimes glowing red eyes. Usually reported to be a fedora and a long trench coat, sometimes cape. Unlike other shadow people, he is generally seen as much more physically solid. Some reports claim he has no face at all. Those who see the Hat Man report feeling a sense of malevolence coming from him, and he seems to show curiosity towards witnesses.
Alright, here we go. Hello? I know I hear you down here. I know I heard you. Holy f-
He seems to take great pleasure from the fear of witnesses. Some witnesses have gone as far as to claim him to be the devil.
Why? Because
I just felt bad to give you a cashed out ball.
What did you just say?
I felt bad since I gave you that cashed out ball.
Damn right you feel bad.
Okay, I don't feel bad anymore.
No, you know what? You better start feeling bad.
No?
I'm gonna stick
It's
a weed
gone.
nut in your
A weed nug?
Yeah, you're gonna weed nut.
Well, that's just nasty.
Jared, first of all,
Or
what you say
not a
to all
weed
people.
nut.
Nightcrawler. It is hard not to be curious and a little bit unsettled at the sight of something, or more accurately, someone on all fours, scurrying around your yard late at night. After the CCTV footage had gone viral, the interest surrounding this Nightcrawler had sparked theories and comical discord among TikTok users and the wider internet as a whole. Originally posted to TikTok by the user Navale Riasofi on the 12th of May, 2020, the post simply stated, "My camera got this, I'm scared." Her home security cameras captured what could be described as a nude person on all fours running up the driveway. The post would go on to amass over 624,000 likes and over 18,000 comments, becoming her most popular video and dwarfing anything she had ever posted before or since. Just a few days later, she would post again, this time a continuation, a part 2, offering another angle, giving a new perspective of the moment that would change her life forever. The likes and comments were not nearly as close to the original video, but the comments appreciated more of the incident, with many asking, "Is it real? And was that a dog?" Fast forwarding some days later, and we are then rewarded with part 3. Yet another angle, this time a shorter clip and following the trend from before. The likes and comments also less. People this time turning their guesses to creepypastas and asking if this was the rake, and if perhaps it was looking for food. Finally, we get to a somewhat anticlimactic note in the flow of the story. The 4th entry detailed the recap of the sequence of events, but no new footage or an explanation was given. Only a short voiceover and some text in Spanish. We are given a slim degree of hope for part 5, but at this point, it seems that the mystery creature will remain a mystery. Since then, the stream of her uploads have returned to the typical types of videos you would expect from a teenager on TikTok, but ever so often, comments would pop up from time to time asking about the night-crawling creature. Mother believes spirit of her late daughter was seen at Las Cruces Cemetery. Fabiola Rodriguez was 2 years old when she passed away back in September 2018 while being watched by her mother's boyfriend. Her mother, Sandra Gonzalez, has problems with people stealing things from her daughter's grave at the Masonic Cemetery in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Toys and personal belongings have gone missing, so Sandra asked the cemetery to be on lookout. Another family has a camera on a nearby headstone in Masonic Cemetery. According to Sandra, their son's killer was still free and was allegedly vandalizing the gravesite. The family reviewed their footage, looking for evidence they could take to the police, and what they saw concerned them. The family took images of a little girl in the cemetery in the middle of the night. To the cemetery owners concerned, a little girl was lost in the cemetery. Right away, a worker said, "We know that little girl," and walked the family to her grave. The next day, the family returned to the cemetery, and Sandra and her grandmother happened to be at Fabiola's grave. Sandra said she burst into tears when they showed her the photo because, "I know that is my daughter." She told us that she had something really beautiful to show us, that they had captured on their video camera, Sandra said. So then she pulled out her phone and she showed it to me, and as soon as she showed it to me, the picture, I started crying. A final image captured by the camera in Masonic Cemetery appears to show the little girl walking away with a tall man. "I think she was there to take him to heaven," Sandra said. They both have such a tragic story of things that happened to them, and both of them still haven't gotten justice. So I think she was definitely there to comfort him and to take him to heaven. The world has been going through a very strange time so far this year, but it is so often at these times when you didn't think things could get any more bizarre that they do. Well, as if we weren't already facing enough challenges already, it seems that one of Marvel Comics' most notorious villains and anti-heroes has decided to rear his black gooey head. That's right, according to a video that is currently trending on social media, Venom is here.
We are Venom.
The peculiar video in question shows what looks at first to simply be an innocuous black sludge sitting atop a rock, but as the camera gets closer, you begin to notice something that will make your skin crawl and your inner comic book fan squeal. The sludge is moving. Scraping at the black goop with a knife, it certainly does look like it has a mind of its own, as it no doubt begins to seek out the perfect host to bond with. It is going to be really disappointed to find out that Peter Parker is fictional. So what actually is it? Well, there are some who have questioned whether this is a marketing ploy by Sony Pictures in an attempt to get Venom 2 trending.
So one thing like that.
It is clearly nothing less than a symbiote from the planet Kleintar, here to find the perfect host, giving them the wonderful gift of superpowers, as well as slightly less wonderful psychopathic tendencies that usually come from having an alien being inside your mind, right? In reality, what this creepy organism is a creature called a bootlace worm. Chances are that not many of us have ever encountered a bootlace worm in our back garden, as the sight of one would probably have scared most people away. They are very rare to find. Basically, you normally see them that size, but sometimes they join each other to make bigger ones. A bizarre creature that washed up on a Mexican beach has baffled locals who have never seen anything like it before. The discovery took place on the beach in the western Mexican state of Jalisco. With its dolphin-like head and sharp teeth, but lacking any flippers and having a long snake-like tail, it shocked many people with nobody able to identify it. It is also reported that the animal doesn't have eyes. prompting locals to predict that it may very well have come from the deep in the Pacific Ocean when no light penetrates and eyes aren't necessary. If that is the case, however, they had no idea how it would have washed up on the beach from the depths. None of the other local fishermen interviewed by local media could recognize having ever seen anything similar. According to local media, the animal was photographed after it had already been found by other people walking on the beach. Security cameras capture an alien being turned invisible in broad daylight? On April 27th of 2020, a recording was captured by some security cameras on an unknown street in Chile. According to the explanation provided, something strange was caught on the camera as it managed to capture a rather mysterious person whose body didn't seem right and ultimately became invisible, all while this went unnoticed by passersby. Shared by user Elihu Alejandra Venegas, he claimed that this footage was not modified or cut in any way. He says, as you look, the person did not instantly become invisible in the blink of an eye, but rather was gradually degrading away from visibility, making what was captured more believable to be the truth. Many were quick to dismiss it as CGI or an optical effect, perhaps a reflection caused by the sun and the camera lens, possibly an individual nearby. All avenues that could potentially debunk the video until a second camera angle was shared. A different angle which ruled out the theories from before. As expected, quite a few theories were shared about this, ranging from a UFO sighting and indicate that it could be an alien, deepening the belief that they are probably already among us and remain hidden through invisibility techniques or other methods in order to bring about a silent invasion that mankind wouldn't even see coming. Literally. It's all quite interesting and even disturbing. Several people believe that the figure is not an extraterrestrial being, and rather it is a human being with extraordinary powers to turn their body transparent. This brings up the question, however, of motive. Be it an ordinary human or extraterrestrial, why choose that moment to turn invisible on a public street with people around and cameras recording most of everywhere? Instances like these are both fascinating and perplexing to think about and dig deeper because the more we investigate, the more questions come up. For now, I put the final verdict in your hands with this one. Do you see a strange occurrence or something a bit easier to make sense out of? What is your conclusion? Return to Babylon is a silent era film by Alex Mani Kanawati, and has gained interest among paranormal researchers as well as cinema historians for its spontaneous morphing of the actors into hideous monstrosities. The movie is said to have real paranormal phenomena occurring right before your very own eyes, as the ghosts of the dead actors or demons can be seen morphing in the unedited film. The movie itself, Return to Babylon, is a silent black and white film based on Hollywood scandals and tragedies from the early 1900s. Mr. Kanawati, who became a professional filmmaker in 1993, wanted to make an old-style silent film while walking back to his car one night. He came upon a back of what appeared to be trash, but after looking in the back, he found a case of factory-sealed black and white film. This is how Return to Babylon came to be. As strange as it is to find 19 rolls of unopened black and white film, it is absolutely nothing compared to what we would find while going over the raw, unedited footage. Mr. Awadi, along with a photographer teacher from the Brooks Institute of Photography, found the first anomalies while watching the film frame by frame in February of 2004. No special effects were used in the production of Return to Babylon, yet there are frames for the actors' hands morph into long, pointy webbed hands, the nose suddenly become long and pointy, and faces hideously distort according to the Brooks Institute of Photography. The film breaks all the rules of cinema logic. The frames have also been looked at by Dr. Albert Taylor and several paranormal groups who have seen the stills online and can't offer any explanations for the strange facial morphing. The cast includes Louise Brooks as Sultry, Josephine Baker as Exotic, Romano Navarro as Latin Lover, and others. During the production, many of the casting crew felt strange sensations. Cast member Jennifer Tilly was particularly vocal about the ghosts and spirits she believed were supposedly touching her. This could very well hold truth because they filmed in the mansions and estates of silent movie stars such as Norma Talmadge, Antonio Moreno, and Ruby Valentino. All locations are considered to be haunted. What appeared on the actual negatives of the film was completely baffling. The actors took various appearances, including some sinister images. The film was studied extensively by professionals and said the actors were morphing, a costly and time-consuming animation process. How could this manifest on its own? It isn't too much of a stretch to conclude that with some degree of rationalization that there is some other power that is behind this phenomenon. Put up against its further scientific scrutiny, more explanations could be formulated to explain the reason for the appearance of various distortions and macabre imagery. But for now, Return to Babylon will remain as a footnote in cinema history, considered by many to be the true haunted film. In Canina, Italy, a woman encountered beings who wore a tight gray jumpsuit, a jacket accolade with shiny buttons, and on the shoulders, a short cape. On their heads, they had a helmet with 2 discs in correspondence to the ears. On the face, the shading of a recently cut beard was noticed. On November 1st, 1954, Rosa Lotti Danieli, a 40-year-old farmer, married and mother of 4 children, left the house early on the day of the All Saints' Day, a farmhouse on the La Collina farm, located in an isolated place, to go to Mass in the Church of Canina. She had a bouquet of flowers with that she wanted to offer to the Madonna, and she was holding new shoes and black socks in his hand so as to not dirty or soil them on the way, since she had to walk a country path to get to Canina. Arrived near a small clearing she saw ahead. At about 20 meters, a dark pointed object protruding from the bushes. Approaching, she could see that the object was a kind of large spindle, very bellied in the central part and very pointed at the ends, located upright at the edge of the clearing, near a tall cypress with the tip tucked into the ground. It was about 2 meters high and about 1 meter 20 centimeters wide in the center. Opposite each other, and in the middle of these, obtained in a lower cone, a closed glass door. Suddenly, 2 beings emerged from the bushes, cutting their way. They were very small, of stature comparable to that of children 4 or 5 years, about 1 meter, but perfectly proportioned and completely similar to us. They wore a tight gray suit that covered the whole body, including the legs and feet. On their shoulders they had a short cape, and on the thorax a jacket with small shiny buttons. On their heads they wore an apparently leather helmet which covered their ears with 2 discs. One of the 2 began to speak an unknown language, sometimes turning to the other, then smiling. He gently took the bouquet of flowers and a stocking from her hand and, having examined the flowers, went towards the spindle. At the protest of Lottie, the being returned part of the flowers, but not the stocking, and placing his hand on the door, made him open outwards. Since the witness was less than 2 meters from the spindle, he could see the inside, where he saw 2 small, round, and flat seats, without backs, facing the 2 side portholes. Thrown flowers and stocking inside, the being drew out a dark brown cylinder-shaped roll with rounded ends, with a smooth and uniform surface, who pointed longitudinally towards the woman, alternately looking at her and her, giving the impression of taking photographs. At that moment, the woman was afraid of being killed, so with a brisk step, he left the clearing. The beings did not attempt to follow her, but seemed to offer her the object, as if by gift. Shortly after the vegetation, he hid everything from view. The only trace found later on the site was a hole in the ground, presumably where the object was inserted, found by all those who, having learned the news, wanted to go there to see it, including the husband of the witness. Rosa Lotti was a respectable person, serious, healthy in body and mind. An indirect confirmation of the case seems to come from 2 local children, the brothers, Ampelio and Marcello Torzini, respectively 6 and 9 years old. Indeed, in a little thought written at school a few days after the incident, Ampelio said that, on the morning of November 1st, while he was in the area with his brother to graze the pigs, he heard talk and saw Lottie discussing with the little men in the clearing. The older brother ran to warn his father, but when he could get there, the clearing was now deserted. The last testimony could, however, be the result of children's imagination, perhaps stimulated by the illusion that Walter Molino dedicated to the case on the cover of the Domenica del Corriere. However, the 2 children did not appear very talkative, suggesting a ban on talking imposed by their parents. Investigations were also carried out by the Carabinieri. While he was in the area with his brother to feed the pigs, he heard chatter and saw Lottie discussing with the little men in the clearing. The older brother ran to warn his father, but when he could get there, the clearing was now deserted. This last testimony, however, could be the result of the children's imagination, perhaps stimulated by the illustration that Walter Molino dedicated to the case on the cover of the Dominica del Corriere. However, the two children did not appear very talkative, suggesting a ban on talking imposed by their parents. Investigations were also carried out by the Carabinieri. The two humanoids looked at Miss Lottie with great joy and a smile, and one of them looked older than she. They took Mrs. Lottie's flowers and her socks, throwing them after an examination into the object. Then one of the beings took a strange-looking, rounded cylindrical artifact and pointed it at Mrs. Lottie, who ran away thinking they wanted to photograph her. When she was about 100 meters away, she turned and found that the object and people were still there. The encounter lasted about 10 minutes. The event featured testimonials from people who observed a strange object in the air. Two brothers, Marcello and Ampelio, 9 and 6 years, said at the time they saw from afar the meeting of Mrs. Lottie and the two beings. The neighbors who came within 30 minutes of the rare meeting place found a deep hole in the ground about 15 centimeters with a diameter of 10 centimeters. The hole was also seen by the chief inspector of police in Ambra, Botarelli Zalima, who was also hunting in the vicinity when the incident happened.